Good day, my dear student. I am Noreen P. Honor, your student teacher for this subject, Reading and Writing Skills. As for this video, I will continue to discuss the properties of a well-written text. As you have noticed, we already discussed about those three fundamental properties of a well-written text, and those are, first, organization, second, cohesion and coherence, and third, language use. So at this juncture, we will now discuss the last part of the properties of a well-written text, and that is the mechanics. So what is mechanics? When we say mechanics, it refers to the rule of the written language. Writing mechanics are the foundation of a written piece. Mechanics are basically the grammar, punctuations, and capitalizations. So when we say mechanics, it's all about focuses on the technicalities of the structure of the sentence. It determines the error between the subject-verb agreement, the punctuations, the grammar, the spelling, the capitalizations, and many more. No? So under the mechanics, there are certain rules that we will tackle. First one is the agreement of the subject and the verb. I know you are very familiar with this because you encounter this one when you are in high school, di ba? So there are some rules under this agreement of the subject and the verb. The first rule states that a singular subject requires a singular verb. A plural subject requires a plural verb, of course. Take for this example, Catherine hides behind the door. As you have noticed, I put red on the word hides because Catherine is the subject of this sentence. So Catherine is one person, is a singular subject. That's why I put as as a congruent to the singular verb. Since Catherine is a singular subject, of course, we have to put a singular verb also, and that is hides. Let's take for the second example. The spectators are noisy. They write every day. So when they say spectators, marami yan sila. That's why I put are as a plural verb congruent to the plural subject, and that is spectators. And the same goes with the third example, they write every day. When we say they, marami yan, sila. So, that's why I put a plural verb, which is the write. Okay, alright. The pronouns you and I are taken as plural subjects. Thus, it should take a plural verb also. Take note, class, that you, the pronoun you and I, always na siya ginamin na plural subject. That's why you put plural verb also, always. Like, take for example, I go to the store on Fridays. Dili po siya pwede, I goes to the store on Fridays. I love you. I hate you. Lain po siya paminawan, di ba? Kung I loves you, I hates you. If we take the singular form of the verb, I should be always take the plural verb of the sentence. You are asked to clean the room. You sing very well. You are so beautiful. Another one, expressions like many more than one, the number call is called for the S form of verbs or the singular form of verbs. Like for example, the number of children in need of counseling increases every year. Diba? Ang sabi sa rule, pag ang expressions daw na like many and the number, it always takes the singular form of verbs. That's why I put S to the word increases, because our subject is determined as the number. Many a person gets a feeling of well-being for criticizing his friend. Another rule: collective nouns are either singular or plural depending on the context in which they appear. What are collective nouns ba? These are the examples of collective nouns, no? An army of, the crowd of, a team of players, the audience, the group of dancers, the deck of cards. Those are collective nouns. Kumbaga, flock together, di ba? So, sabi dito, pag ang collective nouns, it's either singular or plural siya. Depende daw sa context which they appear. Like, take for example, when a group is considered as a unit, the singular form of the verb is used. Pag grupo daw, sabi dito, dapat daw singular form na verb ang gamitin. Like for example, the deck of cards is on the table. Kasi group as they form as a group kasi ang a deck of cards. That's why we put singular form of verb. The board of directors uses this room for its meeting. The board of directors, even though marami sila, but they form as a group, that's why we use the singular form of the verb. Meanwhile, when the members of the group are considered as individuals who act separately, the simple form of the verb is used. For example, the audience clap for the cast of the play. The crowd leave one by one. So we take the plural form of the verb because the audience, even though marami sila, yes, marami naman talaga sila, but they act separately. That's why we take the simple form of the verb or the plural form of the verb. Know that the relative pronouns in a dependent clause stands for make the verb agree what is referred by the relative pronoun. Example of these relative pronouns are who, which, and that. So those are the relative pronouns. So, ang sabi dito, pag yun daw lumabas sa sentence, kailangan alamin mo kung dependent clause ba siya or independent clause. So, make the verb agree of what is referred by the relative pronoun. Kung ano bang tinutukoy dito ni relative pronoun, yun ang gagamitin mong verb. For example, his father is a doctor who treats my friend. So, as you can see, meron si relative pronoun dyan na who. So, sinong nire-refer ni who? Si father. That's why we take, since father is a singular subject, we will take the singular form of a verb also, and that is. Let's take for the second example. The mistakes which remain unforgiven continue to hurt us. Wow, sana all. Alright. So, sino bang nire-refer ni which dyan? Si mistakes. Then, since mistakes are marami, that's why, since marami, sabi nga ng rule number 1, if plural subject requires plural verb. So, since mistakes is a plural subject, we will put continue as a plural verb. Alright. Next. There are some nouns are plural in form and plural in meaning also. Like for example, the scissors are sharp enough to cut the bark of the tree. A pair of scissors is sharp enough to cut the bark of the tree. Take note, what are the difference between these two sentences? As you have noticed in the first sentence, the scissors are sharp. Bakit siya plural form? No? Kasi ang scissors, marami. Ang tinutukoy kasi dito is maraming scissors. Kaya nilagyan natin ng, since ang rule number 1 is singular, a plural subject needs plural verb also. But in the second paragraph, in the second sentence, a pair of scissors is sharp enough to cut the bark of the tree. So, the second rule states, no, kung naaalala ninyo, na pag sinabing pair or a group, it always takes the singular form of the verb. Kasi ang sabi dito, a pair of scissors man. Meaning, isang scissors lang. That's why we put a singular form of a verb. Okay. There are some nouns ending in singular form or a simple form. Example of these are statistics and acoustics. These are nouns na talagang dapat meron siya talagang S, di ba? Like mathematics, physics, statistics, acoustics, mumps. Those are nouns na it always take the singular form of the verb. Even though may S siya, na akala natin marami kasi statistics marami, acoustics marami yan kasi may S. No. Take note that those nouns are always take the singular form of the verb. For example, statistics is required subject for mathematics. Statistics show that women live longer than men. No? So, physics is my favorite class. So as you can see, all are singular form of the verb. For compound subjects joined by or, either, or neither, the verb agrees with the subject closer to it. For example, either the employees or the manager opens the store every day. Opens. Did you see the word opens here? No? So, opens is a singular form of a verb. Why is it singular? Kasi, ang sabi dito sa rule, for a compound subjects joined by or, either, or neither, ang verb is always agrees depende kung unsay close nga pinaka duol nga subject sa iya ha. Since the manager ang pinakaduol nga subject sa iyaha, and since manager is a singular verb, take note that singular subject requires singular verb. That's why we put S on the verb opens. Take another one. Neither the host nor the contestants are ready for the show. So, why we put are, which is a plural form of verb, since ang pinakaduol nga subject sa iyaha is contestants. Meaning, maraming contestants. Take note that plural subject requires plural verb. Number 3, baked goods or fried foods are not healthy for you. So, since ang pinakamalapit na subject is the fried foods, may S means marami. That's why we take the plural form of the verb. Okay. Now, let's go to the tense or the tenses of the verb. Dito natin malalaman yung past tense, present tense, and future tense. No? So, I think you are very familiar with that. So, tense. The attribute of a verb which shows the time of action, the condition, or state of being in relation to the time of speaking or writing. The tense of the verb in subordinate clause should conform logically with the tense of the verb in the principal clause. Okay. Rule number 1 sa tenses. When the sentence expresses two past actions, which action prior to the other, that priority is expressed the past perfect tense. Like for example, my friend told me that he had signed the contract. Since we put told, which is told is a past tense of tell. So meaning nasa past tense yung action. That's why we put the past perfect tense also. Had signed. Dili siya have signed because that's a present perfect na yan siya. The second one is the teacher asked if we had studied for the exam. Since asked is a past tense, we should also put had studied in the selection. The third one is, I wish that I had told the truth. No? So, dapat ang wish na word which is past tense, dapat mag-congruent po siya sa I had told the truth. Alright. Next, second rule. Statements that are permanently true should be expressed in the present tense even in the reported speech. For example, he said that Laguna is 75 kilometers from Manila. So, when the sentence is true or kanang statistically true, talagang napapatunayang totoo, it always requires the present tense of the verb. Always yun na siya sa present tense. And those, and like, take for example, the first example is a present tense. Kasi present. Siya, kanang, ang tawag dyan, kanang, nagpapatuloy siya. Which is, nagpapatuloy siyang true na sentence yan. Diba? The second one, the pilot said that the weather have been extremely bad. So, eto. These are the 12 verb tenses. Oh, I know you're very familiar with this because pabalik-balik ni siya when we are in high school. Tapos karon, balik-balik na pod. But we will discuss this one. Actually, class, pag nasa college kayo, baliko lang gihapon ninyo ni siya. Naalang gihapon ni siya, dili yun na siya mawala. So, of course, the English verb tense are simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. So, the past, when we say simple past, is I studied. Of course, lagyan lang ng ed. I studied English yesterday. The simple present naman is I study English. Then the simple future is I will study English. I will. Napansin nyo, meron ng will. Kasi nga, papunta pa lang. The continuous past, I was studying English. The continuous present naman, I am studying English. And the future continuous, I'll be studying English. And so on. So, ayan, no? Okay. Let's go to the voices of the verb. So, dito na natin malalaman itong mga active voice, passive voice. Are you familiar with that? Alright. The voice indicates whether the subject is the doer or the receiver of the action in the sentence. So when we say active voice, the subject is the doer of the action. Please take note of that. And when we say passive voice, the subject is the receiver of the action. Like for example, the carpenter built the house. Kinsa ang nag-built ng house? The carpenter. The subject carpenter is the doer of the action. That's why tinawag siyang active voice. While the passive voice naman is the house was built by the carpenter. So the subject house is the receiver of the action of the carpenter. Did you get my point? Did you get my point? Another one. Moviegoers watch the action movie. The subject moviegoers is the doer of the action. Sino nag-watch ng action movie? Ang mga moviegoers. So, pag ibalhin natin sa passive, the action movie was watched by moviegoers. The subject action is the receiver of the action of the subject moviegoers. Sorry, na ano lang ko dyan sa but the receiver of the action of the moviegoers yan siya. Remember, there should be only one voice of the verb in one sentence. Example, Maria sang a song while the boogie was danced by Jessie. So, duha ka buok ang ni si Maria nagsong ni kanta, si boogie sayaw. So it is incorrect. Dapat ganito dapat 'yan. Maria sang a song while Jessie danced the boogie. Kasi pag sinabing the boogie was danced by Jessie, parang iba siya paminawon na gisayaw ang boogie gisayaw para kay Jessie. Di ba? Mali siya. It's a wrong grammar. That's why remember that there should be only one voice of the verb in one sentence. And the rest is the receiver of the action. Okay? Active voice is preferred than passive voice. Yes, I prefer talaga active voice kaysa sa passive voice kasi medyo lisod siya pag passive voice na pag i-convert into passive voice. Pero later on, we will discuss that, okay? Okay. Sorry. Wala akong andito, another example, no? But yun lang, pag sinabi kasing active, mas simple siyang sentence compared sa passive. Tapos, when we say active talaga, ikaw mismo. The subject is the doer of the action. I sing a song. When we say passive voice, the song is sung by me. Right? Gets? I hope you get this. If you don't get this one, I'll try to, pasa og link na lang sa inyo ha, kung sa YouTube, meron yung mga examples. Alright? So, okay, moving on tayo. The capitalization. So, what is capitalization? From the word capitalize your sentence. Okay. The first rule is capitalize the first letter in a sentence, of course. Kabalo naman mo, ani. There were 50 participants who attended the seminar. We just met for a reason and for a lesson. Okay. You always capitalize the first letter of the sentence. Another one, capitalize the pronoun I. It should be and always be. No? Dapat kapag meron kang I, like for example, Jess and I are leaving for Bohol in October. It always take the capitalize. No? Dapat i-capitalize jud na siya. All I want is to have a peaceful, even though naa pa siya sa tunga sa sentence. It's either, even though naa sa sa first sentence, sa tunga sa sentence, or sa pinakalas ng sentence, you should always capitalize the pronoun I. Alright? Capitalize proper nouns or the specific names of a persons, places, events, things, and organization. For example, the exchange student decided to enroll in La Consolacion College, Manila. No? So, sabi dito, i-capitalize daw ang names of places, persons. So, since La Consolacion College, Manila is a place, you should capitalize that one. Another one, Sebastian Camero was a former basketball captain. Since Sebastian Camero is a name of person, of course, you know what to do. Capitalize the names of a god, deities, religious figures, and holy books. For example, Maria has not stopped praying to the Lord. In their religion, they praise Allah. So take note that do not capitalize the non-specific use of the word God. For example, Maria has not stopped praying to the Lord. Yes, since gi-figure out niya or gi-specific niya ang God niya is Lord, that's why you have to capitalize the Lord na letter, the L letter or the word Lord. But the tribes in the early times worship different gods. Since gods dito dili specific, you should dili lang siya i-capitalize. No? Kasi sabi dito, i-capitalize lang yung mga specific na mga word na ginagamit na talagang specific talaga na, for example, the word of God. God is so many gods. But when we say Lord, Allah, dapat kwanjo na siya, i-capitalize. Alright? Another one, capitalize titles preceding names but not titles that follow names. For example, Dr. Jesus Mendoza is the best, Dr. Jesus Mendoza is the best doctor in town. So, ang sabi, capitalize daw ang titles preceding the names before the name. Kung meron kang title like bachelor's degree, that's also a title, you should be capitalize that word before the before the name. Then another one, Elise called Mr. Camero, engineer from Valeria Group Corporation. So ang sabi nito, i-capitalize lang daw ang preceding name but not the titles that follows the name. Kung after na sa pangalan, dili na siya pwede i-capitalize. Alright? Kasi, as you can see, the engineer here is not capitalized since it precedes or it follows the names of Mr. Camero. Right? Alright. Capitalize directions that are names like north, south, east, west when used as sections of the country, not as compass directions. Okay. It's very understandable. So, we are holidaying. Oh my God, it's wrong grammar. I know, it's ano pala. Okay siya. We are holidaying in Northern Ireland next year. So, as you can see, ang northern is capitalized ang N kasi nga sabi dito na i-capitalize yung directions like north, south, east, west. But when it is kung nag-refer siya, i-capitalize mo siya kung nag-refer siya sa specific country or specific name of a country, which is the noun. Kung mahimo siya noun, you have to capitalize. Pero pag dili gani siya buhaton nga noun, wag natin i-capitalize. Like for example, that I travel north at weekends, since I do not the north word, I do not use it as a noun. So dili naton siya gamitan o capitalize, no? Capitalize the days of the week, months of the year, and holidays, but not the seasons like spring, winter, autumn, and fall. For example, Elise and Seville celebrated Christmas together. So, we capitalize the Christmas because it refers kasi ginawa siyang noun dito. So, you should capitalize the word Christmas because it refers to a holiday. No? Ano bang sineselebrate ni Elise and Seville? Christmas. The next one, Luna's friends threw a party last March. Of course. My favorite season is autumn. So, ang sabi, i-capitalize yung numbers of days of week, month of the year, and holidays, but not the seasons like spring, winter, autumn, and fall. Many animals hibernate in the winter. So, dili kaayo siya importante sa sentence, no? Dili siya tinutukoy na noun. That's why, don't capitalize it. So, it's okay to don't capitalize it, okay? Capitalize the first word in the sentence that is direct quote, of course. Plato once stated, love is a serious mental disease. Really? Serious talaga? So, ang sabi, capitalize daw yung pinaka-first word na sa sulod sa quotation mark. Like, for example, the word love. My mother said, be humble at all times. Another one, capitalize acronyms and initialisms. Of course, the SSS pensioners were expecting their pensions to be increased by the new administration. SSS is an acronym for, I'm sorry, I don't know what is the meaning of SSS security system. SSS, sorry, I don't really know what's the meaning of that. The second one, we have to get to the hospital ASAP. Initials for, acronyms for as soon as possible. You'll need your PIN to use your bank card at the ATM. Capitalize the trademarks o yung mga branded, yung tinatawag na trademarks. Those students prefer Apple, not sure. Apple. Those students prefer Apple than Samsung. Sana all may Apple. Second one, Sevi save money to buy a new Balenciaga shoes. Capitalize the first word of the greeting or closing of the letter, of course. Dear sir, respectfully yours, sincerely loving. Of course, alam niyo naman yan, di ba? Mahilig ba kayong gumawa ng mga letters, love letters?